last year Erik Ten Hag lost 14 games. This year he's played 6 games and he's got 7 points from 6. And during the week he played probably one of the weakest teams that Manchester United would face in the Europa League, and he drew with them. I'm getting tired of the excuses that everybody seems to be making on behalf of Erik Ten Hag. The fans make excuses last year. He lost 14 league games last year. And all I heard about last season was all the injuries he had. So there was a whole lot of excuses. And then YouTube channels like the United Stands and Mark Goldbridge, massive Ten Hag fan. And now every time somebody talks out against Ten Hag or says Ten Hag out, he calls him a prat. So he always seems to stand up for Ten Hag. Now I don't know if he's doing it because he genuinely believes that Ten Hag is a man for the job, or he's just doing it for views. But I certainly cannot believe that anybody who assumes or he says he has all this football knowledge and he knows what he's talking about can be as ignorant as what he comes across as. Because everybody can see Ten Hag hasn't got a clue on what he's doing. So the reason why I'm making this video now is I just watched Manchester United and Spurs. Now I know what you guys are going to say. Man United played with 10 men. Guys, it could have been 3 or 4-0 before Bruno was sent off. Now I know what's going to happen is everybody's going to point to Bruno and how poor Bruno was, or how poor Dallo was. Nobody's going to talk about the fact that Erik Ten Hag's tactics is just non-existent, and that he can't seem to get this team to play with any form of any sort of identity. He's had 2 years and 2 months? And in that 2 years and 2 months, what type of identity does Manchester United have? He went out and he bought Onana. And the reason why he bought Onana, because we thought, oh, okay, great. He wants to play from the back. Okay, he wants to pass the ball from the back, play through the press. And that's the reason why he bought Onana. So he got rid of a great shot stopper in De Gea to bring Onana in. But I don't see them playing out from the back. Then we say, well, okay, fine. The reason why they're not playing out from the back because he didn't have the personnel. Your Harry Maguires and your McTominays, etc. can't play out from the back. So he went and he brought half of Ajax in, and I still don't see them playing out from the back. So by the time the game ended, and I was just watching the game, so by the time the game ended, it could have easily have been 7. Onana made some great saves. Spurs were a little bit loose with the ball, a little bit clumsy with the ball. They didn't take care of the ball, and some of the shots were really, really wayward. But it could easily have been 7-0 by the time this team came off. So let's talk about Ten Hag. Now I've been a Ten Hag out probably from his first season, and I'll tell you why. The first season already I saw there were certain things that really just did not gel. His tactics were all wrong. Some of his substitutions were wrong. But they managed to scrape through, and they managed to win games. And in fact, he did quite well. He got them into 3rd place, and he won the Carabao Cup. But again, like I said, I saw certain things that I thought, hang on, this guy is really not going to make it in this league. And already then I was saying, I don't think he's going to make it. They need to replace the manager. But again, it was a little bit unfair because I figured, well, okay, maybe first season. So let's see what happens in his second season. Because in his first season, you need to give him time. And for any new manager that comes into a club, no matter who the manager is, the fans need to give him time to get their feet under the table and get the team to play the way they want them to play. It's the same thing when you bring players in. Whether you believe the player is great or good for the club or not, you have to support the player because he plays for your club. And it's only at a later stage when you realize, look, he's crap, that you then need to change your opinion and say, look, he needs to go. When Inos decided to keep Erik Ten Hag last year, I was already saying Ten Hag out last year. And the reason why I was saying Ten Hag out last year is he lost about 16 games, league games. He finished 8th in the table, and he finished with a net negative goal difference. So what did he do to remedy that? He went out and he bought another striker, an unproven striker in Xerxes. Nothing against the kid. Some of the stuff I see that Xerxes does, I actually think is quite good because he links the play up quite nicely. But he's the unfinished article. What they needed was a proven goal scorer. You had a negative goal difference. And you go and you buy somebody that's unproven. So where are you going to get your goals from? And the thing is, you can't blame the players that fans always seem to love blaming. So last season, all the fans were having a go at me. Because on my channel, I said Ten Hag out. And that they played crap last year. And everybody slated me. Everybody said, I don't know what I'm talking about. Ten Hag had a ton of injuries. His back line had to change multiple times. And that's the reason why they were so poor. I wasn't complaining about that. What I was complaining about the fact that this team didn't have a structure. They didn't have an identity. So whoever you bring into the team, whether that player is at the level of the top players or slightly a level below that, he should be still playing to a certain structure. And I don't see that structure. So under Ten Hag, he has brought in 16 players. His net spend is 385 million since he's been at Manchester United. 385 million, which is second only to Chelsea. So which of his players has he brought in that has made this team better? Now I know you guys are going to talk to Martinez. Again, Martinez was great the first season, but I don't see the value this year. Or in fact last year, and he was injured quite a bit last year. Casemiro was great the first season, but again, you don't pay that much for a player. You give him a 5-year contract and all you get out of him is one good season. You can't blame Maguire because you brought De Ligt in, who's supposed to be a better player than Maguire. But how much of a better player than Maguire is he? Is he that much, or is the gap that big? And I honestly don't see it. You can't blame Sancho because you got rid of Sancho. And the funny thing is, you're getting rid of Sancho, he goes to Dortmund, plays brilliantly. You send him to Chelsea, plays brilliantly, but he can't play under Ten Hag's system. So what is that? Is that Ten Hag, whose man management is so poor that he couldn't get the best out of this youngster? Because one of the things that Ten Hag is brilliant at, and I'll give him his due, he's fantastic at fighting his fights off the pitch. Ronaldo, Sancho, pundits, referees. There's always somebody that is having a go at, that he's trying to get rid of. But he can't bring that fight onto the pitch. Why is that? Is he good enough to be bully off the pitch, but on the pitch he can't? So again, I ask a question. Under Ten Hag, he's been there now 2 years and 2 months. Okay, I think it's 2 months. October is 2 months. The league started in August. So two and a bit. What is Manchester United's style of play? Is the style of play that they play from the back? I don't see it. So there's no passing from the back. There's no playing out from the back. I don't see it. But to be fair, I have seen some sort of structure with Manchester United. But let's get back to that. I'll get back to the structure that I am seeing. So I don't see things happening playing from the back. They're not a counter-attacking team because nothing's happening going forward either. So what is Manchester United's style of play? One game they're busy holding the ball and passing the ball amongst themselves against Southampton and Crystal Palace, which they did quite well in the first half. But then they seem to run out of steam. So is this team unfit? They're creating chances, but they can't score goals. And the reason why they can't score goals is the obvious. You went for Højlund in your first season when you needed a proven striker. And he came with a reputation of 8 goals in X amount of games. That's not going to set the Premier League alight. You then go and you buy exactly the same type of player in Xerxes, whereas also very small amount of goals for the team that he played for, that you bought him from. And you're expecting these two youngsters to help you to challenge for the top 4. It's not going to happen. You need a proven striker to challenge for the top 4. And now it's even worse because you're now not challenging for the top 4. You're actually challenging for the top 7 because you're sitting in 8th. And at the rate you're going, how are you going to break into that 7th? So I remember last season, I released a video across all 3 of my channels. So I've got a channel on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, where the video was that I can't see Manchester United winning the FA Cup. Boy, was I wrong. Yes, they won the FA Cup, but I got slated for it. Every Manchester United fan took it as an opportunity to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know football. Okay, they won the FA Cup. That was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Speaking of bread, winning the FA Cup is like giving a starving man a slice of bread to ease his hunger, and then you think everything is great. So you forgot the fact that up until the time you gave him a slice of bread, he was actually starving. And then post giving him that slice of bread, he's going to continue to starve. But all you focus on is, no, you won the FA Cup. And I was called all kinds of names. In fact, I was told to shut down my channels. But the reason why I was talking about it in that way was very simple. If you look at what Manchester United did last season, ending 8th with a negative goal difference, there was no way they should have won that cup, the FA Cup. They did it, and well done. You know, they actually needed it because they need to be in Europa so they can make money so that they don't fall foul on financial fair play. But all the pundits, and I'm talking pundits who know the game. I'm talking people, I'm not talking your Mark Goldbridge. I'm talking people, and guys, don't get me wrong. If you have an opinion, everybody has an opinion. And everybody's opinion should be respected. What I'm doing now is an opinion. Now, whether you accept it or not, it's an opinion. But when somebody like Michael Owen talks, when somebody like Paul Scholes talks, when some of the players that played for Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson and won all those trophies. I mean, I did a series around who was the best midfielder, whether it was Giggs, Lampard or Gerrard. And if you look at Paul Scholes' accolades, do you not think he is in a position to be able to give an opinion based on what he sees and based on what he experienced? I've never experienced what Paul Scholes experienced playing at Old Trafford. So all of those pundits, the press in Great Britain, all of them didn't give Manchester United a chance to win the FA Cup. I did the same thing. And the reason why, we looked at the bigger picture. I based it based on what Manchester United did the previous season, in that particular season. That's the reason why I didn't give him a chance. But I was slated for it. And then when I said Erik Ten Hag out because of these reasons, I got slated for that as well. There was excuses. Hang on, he had all of his injuries. He didn't have a decent top structure. Well, this year he's got it. If you look at what's happening this year, he has got the top structure. In fact, he's got so much of a top structure that it looks like he's got more top structure than actual players that he needs or coaches that he needs. Speaking of coaches, they brought in a whole bunch of new coaches, including Ruud van Nistelrooy. So it can't be the fact that he hasn't got a top structure. Has he got a lot of injuries? No, except for Luke Shaw and Yarrow, who we have hardly seen. He doesn't have much injury, so he's playing with a full squad. Malacia, I think, is the other player that's out. So he's playing with a full squad. So there's no excuse there. So what's your excuse this time around, fans? In fact, Mark Goldbridge from the United Stand, what is your excuse? Now, yes, I got it. You got 2 million fans compared to my little measly 1,000 and something. But you don't have to have billions of fans to understand that what you're talking about is a load of rubbish. Erik Ten Hag is not the man for Manchester United. And believe me, guys, neither is Gareth Southgate or Potter. And I'm hoping that if they do decide to get rid of Erik Ten Hag, those are not the two clowns that they're going to bring into Manchester United, because it's going to be an even bigger disaster. So let me go on the record now stating, I do not want Erik Ten Hag to be fired so that so that Manchester United can replace Erik Ten Hag with either Graham Potter or the waistcoated genius, ex-England manager Gareth Southgate. But yet, every time Mark Goldbridge's show comes up and people question Ten Hag, he calls him a prat, because it doesn't fall in line with his thinking. Now, I don't know if this guy is actually serious about what he's doing, or he's doing it just for the views, just so that he can get the views. Because anybody with half a football brain, and I'm talking a football brain, I'm not talking when you think about your team emotionally. When you think about your team emotionally, there's nothing nobody can say or anybody can say about your team without you defending it. Because you're not thinking up here, you're actually thinking with your heart. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, because that's what makes you a true fan. But there are times when you have to think back, you have to sit and you have to ask yourself, well, am I going to lower my standards that much that I'm actually happy with ending 8th? Am I going to lower my standards that much that I'm actually happy that somebody like Spurs rolls into Old Trafford and turns Manchester United over? Now again, yes, they played against 10 men. But if you're honest with yourself, if you're really honest with what you saw, it could have been 3 or 4-0 before Bruno was sent off. So what's going to happen now? They're going to blame Bruno. They're going to blame all the other players, but they're not going to blame Erik Ten Hag. And I'm, for one, am getting tired of listening to this guy's press conferences where he's talking complete rubbish and he's making up stories about that the team has nearly turned the corner and that everybody's all pointing in the same direction. This team is not pointing in the same direction. So what kind of style is he playing? He can't be playing the Manchester City style, which he tries. And that's the reason why you find your fullbacks heading into midfield and then leaving the wings wide open for these guys to bomb down. Didn't Slot use that to attack Manchester United? He waited for the wings for your fullbacks to go into the midfield, and then it was wide open for his team to attack. And he actually said it when he gave his press conference. So you can't play like City. You definitely cannot play like Liverpool. You can't play like Arsenal. So who are you playing like? Even Villa is playing better football than what Manchester United is. Chelsea is getting there with all their riches and all their players, and they just keep buying left, right and center. But they're finally beginning to put the team together that's beginning to play in the right direction. The only team that I see going absolutely nowhere is Manchester United. Now, yes, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh because there has been an improvement in the way the team plays. They've kept the ball a lot better up until today's game. And they slowed the game down to Van Gaal nearly type of football, which was extremely boring. But at least there's a pattern of play and people are playing in the right direction. But guys, nobody can tell me out there with hand on heart that you are happy with what you are seeing. Why are you lowering your standards? Manchester United is supposed to be the best club, the biggest club, not the best. Sorry, I take it back. Manchester United is supposed to be the biggest club in Europe. Certainly doesn't play like a big club. Certainly doesn't act like a big club. The stadium is falling apart, so that can't be a big club. Your manager is nowhere close to the quality of the other 7 managers above him. And all I hear is how great he is. Maybe he was great at Ajax. Yeah, he was great at Ajax because they had the best players. He brought the entire Ajax team into Manchester United and he still can't get a tune out of these players. So what does that tell you? His tactics is all wrong. He doesn't know what he's doing. But again, Mark Goldbridge would blame McTominay, would blame Maguire, blaming Bruno now because Bruno got sent off and Bruno isn't playing the way he used to play. Yeah, Bruno's game has fallen apart. But Bruno's not the only one. So now you've got what you wished for. Okay, because some of the fans were calling for it. Bruno's now going to sit for the next 2 games because he got a straight red card. You got Villa next, which is going to be extremely difficult, and you're going to be playing that game without Bruno. So, I have not changed my tune. Okay, winning the odd cup here and there is not what Manchester United is all about. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. Arteta hasn't won anything. Yeah, but he's challenging. He's nearly there. Okay, and he doesn't hang his hat on winning the FA Cup or winning the Carabao Cup. He wants to win the big prize. He wants to win the league. He wants to win in Champions League. And I mean, one of the most stupidest things I heard Erik Ten Hag say was, besides Pep Guardiola, Erik Ten Hag is the most successful manager in the English Premier League. Yeah, because Klopp has left. So with your 2 Mickey Mouse trophies, compared to what Pep Guardiola has amassed at Man City, you're trying to compare yourself as the second best manager in the Premier League? Wow, that's a very, very low bar. So as far as I'm concerned, Erik Ten Hag doesn't have an excuse anymore. Okay, he's got a top structure more than what Ferguson had, Oli, Jose, Rangnick, Van Gaal. So I don't want to hear, okay, that Ten Hag didn't get the players he wanted. There's no team in the world, there's no manager in the world that gets every player he wants. Ask probably one of the great managers of Liverpool, Klopp. He didn't get all the players he wanted. And in fact, if you even ask Pep didn't get all the players he wanted either. Yes, he can go buy who he wants, but he doesn't get all the players he wants. There's no manager in this world that gets all the players he wants. So that's not an excuse. You can't tell me that injuries is another excuse. That doesn't exist. Top structure, this guy's got more top structure than Alex Ferguson, Van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Rangnick, Oli had in their entire lives managing this club. Where it has gone wrong, in my opinion, was winning the FA Cup was actually a poison chalice. Inos should have fired Ten Hag last year. All he did was delay the inevitable. Ineos was too chicken shit, in my opinion, to do the right thing. What Sir Jim did was he rather went and he got rid of half of the admin staff, supposedly to save money. And some of the other things that he did, where go into the FA Cup, they had to do their own transport. There was no food available. Anyway, all of that type of rubbish. He cut corners, or he cut costs in the wrong places, in my opinion. Maybe he needed it. I don't know. I don't know what the setup is at Manchester United. But what he should have done was he should have had the balls to get rid of Erik Ten Hag. Now Manchester United is sitting in a situation where possibly the next 2 games they could lose. Villa definitely is going to be difficult. Yeah, Villa drew 2-2 today. But they're not an easy side to play against. Unai has got that team playing like a team. Manchester United don't play like a team. They play like a bunch of individuals. And it's like helter-skelter. They're all over the show. So I will not change my mind. I still believe that Erik Ten Hag is not the right man for this job. And if they do happen to keep him, and he proves me wrong, I will come out on this channel and I will say time and time again, Erik Ten Hag is the best thing since sliced bread. But until I haven't seen anything in two years and a bit. So as far as I'm concerned, Erik Ten Hag out. Thanks for hanging out, guys. This is Inside with Zay.